Hello and welcome to this week's episode of diverCity. I'm Bernie Debusman.
And I'm Ilyana Kazharova. This week's top stories are hate crimes on campus,
a Filipino domestic worker lobbying in Parliament,
and an amusing roundup of this week's weirdest news. And now to our first story. When Apple introduced their iOS 7 operating system, they built in a new technology that few people seem to know about.
Now, their new system is set to hit Britain's high streets and transform the way shops interact with their customers. Faye Rajpar has more on the story.
Businesses have found yet another way to sell products to their customers using their smartphones and a new technology from Apple. iBeacon is an accurate GPS system for indoors. The London food chain Eat is trialling an app that uses this technology to send its customers special offers as they walk past certain products and to stamp their presence on a digital loyalty card. We've been talking to businesses that have already been using iBeacon in innovative ways to find out how it works.
So it's like giving people a little sort of access. They're like access clouds. They're giving particular people free access to a cloud of content when they're in a certain space.
This cloud of content could refer to advertisements or special offers, as in the case of Eat. But it could also mean making film trailers available in cinema foyers, or allowing people sitting in a cafe or bar access to certain magazines. This is what Exact Editions does.
Exact Editions are the first and only company to be delivering magazine app content in specific places at specific times. So we're really talking about apps that know where they are.
This is Barcake in Shoreditch, a football bar and the first to trial this new technology. They have installed devices which use Bluetooth to detect any nearby smartphones or tablets equipped with iBeacon. This allows the bar to place content on their customers' tablets and smartphones as long as they are sitting within range of this little blue device. All customers need to do is download the magazine's app, enable the technology, and the magazine is downloaded to their device. The content stays on the device even when they've left the premises, but if they want the next edition, they have to return to the bar or buy it from the publisher. Eat and Exact Editions are so far the only businesses of their kind to use iBeacon in this way. But they are surely the first of many, as the physical and digital worlds get ever closer on our high streets. Faye Rajpar, reporting from London.
3 journalists from Al Jazeera have been imprisoned in Egypt since last December.
In a show of solidarity, reporters worldwide have called for a global day of action. Peaceful protesters gathered in central London to lend their voices to the cause. Kaylee Monahan has more on the story.
We are here in Trafalgar Square for a global day of action organized by Al Jazeera and a group of international journalists. It has been 61 days since 3 journalists from Al Jazeera have been imprisoned on charges of terrorism in Cairo.
Al Jazeera English correspondent Peter Grest and producers Mohammed Fahmy and Bahir Mohammed have been detained since the 29th of December. They joined Al Jazeera Arabic correspondent Abdullah Al-Shami, who has been incarcerated since August 2013.
They are one of a number of journalists who have been charged with offences related to terrorism, myself being also on that charge sheet. And this is one protest in a global day of action across the world where over 30 different cities are holding a similar protest like ours today to call on the Egyptian government to recognise that journalism isn't terrorism and that they should release our guys and dismiss all these charges.
The international press community joined Al Jazeera in expressing their disappointment that these journalists were not released on February 20th as scheduled. In response, they organized this global day of action. The demonstration was not only about freeing those who were imprisoned, it also condemned the labeling of journalists as terrorists. There has been an escalation in media censorship since last summer with the ousting of former President Mohamed Morsi.
There's been a growing crackdown on all media since then as well, which really escalated on the 25th of December when the Muslim Brotherhood was named a terrorist organisation.
Here in London, supporters taped their mouths shut in silent witness to the loss of press freedom in Egypt. Black balloons with the Twitter hashtag #FreeAJStaff were handed out to the crowd. These were released with the hopes that Egypt would soon follow suit with those detained. However, with the current Egyptian government having stepped down, the fate of these journalists and a free Egyptian press is still unknown. This is Kaylee Monahan, reporting from London.
Curious what happened in the world this week? We won't tell you.
But I know someone who will. Here's Sarakshi Rai with the latest from around the globe.
Ukraine's acting interior minister, Arsen Avakov, has disbanded the secret Berkut police, which has been blamed for causing protesters' deaths in Kiev. Reports emerging from the Middle East say that an Egyptian court has sentenced 26 people to death after forming a terror group with the aim of attacking ships using the Suez Canal. Panic has gripped the northern Indian town of Meerut after local schools remained shut because of a leopard on the loose. The leopard has attacked and injured 6 people. The United States has asked 3 Venezuelan diplomats to leave the country in retaliation to President Maduro's expulsion of 3 American embassy staff, which have been accused of causing unrest, which has killed at least 13 people. That's all from me, Sarakshi Rai, with the international news. It's back to you.
A crowd gathered in front of Downing Street to support Ukraine's opposition this week.
They want Prime Minister David Cameron to adopt sanctions against former Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych. Marcelo Pellegrini was on the scene.
Sunday afternoon, and it feels like Downing Street is a small version of Independence Square in Kiev. Protesters stand with candles and placards in hand, paying respect to the dozens who lost their lives fighting against Yanukovych government. Sometimes, it was impossible to hold emotions for the relatives who died in protests last week.
Yesterday, that my friend, and I very happy what I'm here, what I'm safe, what nobody, this house can't kill me, but my friend dead, and it's, I don't know.
Gathered in front of the Prime Minister residence, demonstrators sang the national anthem. And pray for their compatriots, followed by shouts of glory to Ukraine. For many of them, the overthrow of the regime was just the first step. And now they ask the British government for more sanctions against the Ukrainian oligarchs and to protect Ukraine against Russian interests.
The 3 richest oligarchs from Ukraine have residences here or connections to London. So we want sanctions against all the people responsible, all the criminals and all the mafia in Ukraine, including those oligarchs.
The majority of the Ukrainian society don't really trust to the politicians, and they really trying to keep eye on them.
In a march towards the parliament, protesters shout, "Heroes never die," in honor to the victims, and asked Russia to be away from Ukraine. Marcelo Pellegrini, City News International.
This is a mad, mad world we live in.
Here's Crazy Felix with diverCity's first ever unusual news report.
The struggle man versus machine went into a new round this week. It was a clear tie with man not quite using his full potential. A cyclist caused a chaotic traffic jam making his way home after his phone app directed him onto the busy M25 during rush hour. No one was hurt, but drivers were furious because they couldn't get to work on time. I'd be thankful for a brilliant excuse like that. The Japanese police go even further. They outsource work enforcement to the machines. On the official police page, a video has been released introducing RoboCop as a watchman in public trains. The robot is supposed to safeguard women from inappropriate behavior on public transport. You're constantly getting a sly grin when you write down your address? Well, a study has just found that this burden may save you quite a bit of cash. Properties with streets with innuendo-laden names were found to be around 1/5 cheaper on average than homes situated nearby. We've posted a list with the best ones on our Facebook page if you're up for a laugh or a bargain. And finally, the BBC is also introducing new machines to spice up their program. They're equipping their anchors with elevators for their sign-outs.
The panel said it welcomed the apology, but said some of the financial costs could have been avoided.
We find that quite a weird investment, but who knows, it might just be the next big thing. Back to you, Burns.
A Filipino domestic helper is at the forefront of efforts to lobby the British Parliament for a new law that would protect foreign household workers like herself.
They say the current system leaves them vulnerable to abuse. Ryan Chua reports.
This has been Marisa Begonia's job for the past 10 years, taking care of all the chores at this house in West London. But at the same time, she's busy with her advocacy, upholding the rights of domestic workers like her from the Philippines and other countries. At the British Parliament, she's currently pushing for the inclusion in the Modern Slavery Bill of provisions protecting migrant domestic workers. These include the freedom to change employers and to have their work visas extended, policies that were revoked in 2012. Now they are tied to just one employer and their visas are valid for just 6 months.
If they experience abuse, they would have to choose between being undocumented or staying with the abusive employer. If they escape, their visa would expire after 6 months and they automatically become undocumented. They become criminals.
At a committee hearing in the House of Commons, Marisa told ministers that she would often get calls for help from abused domestic workers.
I could hear in my phone that the employer are throwing things at her, and I could see the shouting. I could hear the shouting, and we have to take taxi at midnight to go and rescue. But knowing they are already undocumented, what do you think? Shall we do?
The charity group Kalayaan says only a few domestic workers would ask for help and pursue their cases.
People are not coming forward. Of those who did come forward, they reported far worse treatment. So it does imply that people are either enduring abuse or they're being driven underground.
Foreign domestic workers like Marisa face growing public support for controlling immigration to the UK. Still, they say they're more willing to wage the fight here and lobby as vigorously as they can than go back to their countries where they face greater uncertainties. Ryan Chua reported.
An anti-homophobia campaign at City University has shown some students' true colors as vandalism and hate crimes spread through the campus this week.
We sent our reporter Catherine Iorio to investigate.
Well, there's been an international outcry this week as Uganda's President Museveni signed an anti-gay bill. Students at City University have been facing their own homophobic injustices.
Last week, 2 posters on campus were defaced. Both were part of Stonewall's Some People Are Gay, Get Over It campaign, which raises awareness against homophobia in society. So on one of these posters, somebody wrote, "Some people are paedophiles, get over it," on a "Some People Are Gay, Get Over It" poster, and on another Stonewall poster which said, "That's so gay, let's be honest, it probably isn't," which obviously refers to lots of young people using the word gay in a negative light. Somebody simply wrote on it, "It is."
In response to the university not making an official statement condemning the hate crime, City's LGBT society and unions have created a petition asking the university to take a stand against discrimination and ensure that any students found responsible for these actions are held accountable.
And the university has a responsibility to make all students feel safe and feel welcome. And so by not releasing a statement, what they've done is refused to ensure safety for those students. So I've had students come to me with safety concerns, saying that they don't want to come to nighttime events or leave the school when it's dark, especially if they're at an LGBT event, because they feel that this group has been targeted. And that's a big concern that the university really has a responsibility to address.
While vandalism is not physically harmful to the LGBT community, it is considered a hate crime in the UK, based on a YouGov poll of 2,500 gay people published in the Gay British Crime Survey of 2013. 1 in 10 experiencing a homophobic hate crime or incident were physically assaulted. 1 in 5 victims were threatened with violence or the use of force. 1 in 8 victims have had their home, vehicle, or property vandalized. In breaking news last night, Deputy Vice Chancellor David Bolton said in an email to all students, "We strive to build an inclusive and supportive culture which values the diversity of our students, our staff, and our wider community." He goes on to state that this is completely unacceptable, and the university has been attempting to identify the person or persons responsible. Catherine Iorio, London.
So, Liana, what are you doing on Sunday?
Nothing. Why?
Don't get your hopes up. I'm going to be at home watching the Academy Awards. Here's Daphne Lambie with our entertainment.
Hello and welcome to diverCity's Entertainment Roundup with me, Daphne Lambie. DreamWorks Animation Pictures is hinting at the release of a fifth and final Shrek movie. Chief Executive Officer Jeffrey Katzenberg has recently said in an interview that we are not done yet, and neither is Shrek. Katy Perry's new video Dark Horse has been accused of blasphemy. In the video, a pendant which reads Allah, meaning God in Arabic, gets disintegrated, which is blasphemy according to Muslim man Mr. Shahzad Iqbal. He has already launched a petition asking YouTube to take the video off their site. UK's X Factor winner, Sam Bailey, has performed as Beyoncé's support act in Birmingham. The ex-prison officer was originally meant to support Beyoncé in all of her shows in the UK, but clashes with the X Factor tour date could not allow more than this one performance. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt will both be presenting awards at the 86th Academy Awards. The show will be hosted by Ellen DeGeneres, and it will take place on the 2nd of March at the Dolby Theatre in LA. That's all from diverCity Entertainment. Thank you for watching.
Contracted workers at City University are looking to have their wages increased.
They're pushing to have a decent London salary. Andrea Berland gives us the details.
They're all around us, serving us coffee and keeping our campus clean. But City University's contracted workers barely make enough to make ends meet. At the moment, they're paid just above the national minimum wage at £6.50. This is not enough to live off in London. Keith Simpson, president of the University College Union, believes that this is unacceptable.
City directly employs staff and they are all paid above the London living wage, but it outsources cleaning and catering to other companies, and those companies are paid below the London living wage, just above the minimum wage of £6.50. And we think since the university pay for those services, they should insist that their staff are paid those rates of pay.
The student union also supports this, and they too would like to see a raise in pay for contracted workers.
The staff who are currently employed by Chartwells will be getting paid the London living wage. That's the catering staff and the portering staff. However, it does not apply to Unitemp staff at the moment, which is a temping agency for students who would like work in the university.
However, the good news is that our coffee brewers and custodial staff will now earn a livable income. The next item on their agenda, according to the union, is to campaign for holiday and sick pay. This is Andrea Berland reporting for diverCity.
Bernie, have you heard about Wayne Rooney's pay raise?
Yeah, I really wish I got one as well.
Then you should get a job. Now to our sports correspondent, Jade Garcia.
I'm here with your global sports news. Wayne Rooney just renewed a 5-year contract with Manchester United for £300,000 per week. In United's match against Crystal Palace Saturday night, Palace fans greeted the highest-paid Premier striker by throwing coins at him from the stands. Police say they are pursuing the culprit, who will be banned from all future matches. In the meantime, Rooney walked away with a goal and some extra change in his pocket. Women's involvement in motorsport has hit the gas this week, as Susie Wolf's role in the Williams team has expanded. She will now be the first female in over 20 years to participate in the weekend's Grand Prix. And finally, we see an end of the fantastic 2014 Winter Olympics, where Russia made light of their technical error in the opening ceremonies by purposefully keeping shut one of the 5 Olympic rings in their closing ceremonies. The joke has become a lighthearted symbol for the Sochi Winter Games. That's it for sports. Back to you, Liana and Bernie.
That's all for us this week. Thank you for watching diverCity.
Don't forget to follow us on our social media.
I'm Bernie de Boosman.
And I'm Liana Kajarova.
See you next week.